In a saga that reads like a Hollywood thriller, Nicholas Rossi, also known as Nicholas Alaverdian and Arthur Knight Brown, stands at the center of a complex web of alleged crimes, international manhunts, and bizarre twists. This case, which spans over a decade and crosses international borders, has captured the attention of media outlets worldwide. Nicholas Rossi's story begins in Rhode Island, where he was born as Nicholas Alaverdian in July 1987. Later adopted by his stepfather, David Rossi, he took on the surname that would become infamous in years to come. During his time in Rhode Island, Rossi made a name for himself as a vocal critic of the state's Department of Children, Youth, and Families. Little did the public know that this outspoken figure would soon become the subject of a multi-state, international investigation. The turning point came in 2008 when Rossi allegedly committed 2 separate sexual assaults. First occurred in February 2008 in Montgomery County, Ohio. This case would later result in a conviction, requiring Rossi to register as a sex offender. However, it was the second alleged assault, which took place in Utah County later that same year, that would set in motion a series of events leading to Rossi's eventual capture and extradition. In the Utah County case, Rossi was accused of sexually assaulting his then 21-year-old girlfriend. The assault allegedly took place at a residence on 1362 South 460 West in Orem, Utah. However, due to a significant backlog in DNA testing, Rossi wasn't immediately identified as a suspect. It would take nearly a decade before his name surfaced in connection with this crime. As the years passed, Rossi's life took several turns. He moved to different locations, including a house at 853 Blair Street in Salt Lake City, Utah. Unbeknownst to authorities at the time, another alleged victim would later come forward, claiming Rossi had sexually assaulted her at this address in December 2008. Fast forward to early 2020, when Rossi's elaborate scheme to evade justice began to unfold. In a shocking turn of events, Rossi told Rhode Island media that he had late-stage Hodgkin's lymphoma and only weeks left to live. This announcement came at a time when Utah authorities were closing in on him as a suspect in the pair of rape charges from 2008. On February 29, 2020, an online obituary was published, claiming that Nicholas Rossi had passed away. The obituary painted a picture of a man who had succumbed to his illness, leaving behind a legacy of advocacy work. However, this was far from the truth. In fact, according to his former lawyer, Rossi had moved to an undisclosed location in Ireland a year prior to his supposed death. During his time in Ireland, Rossi underwent a dramatic transformation. He changed his name to Arthur Brown and met a woman named Miranda Knight. The couple married in early 2020, and Rossi adopted yet another alias, Arthur Knight Brown. This new identity was carefully crafted to distance himself from his past and the charges that were catching up to him. Rossi's elaborate ruse might have succeeded if not for an unexpected turn of events. In December 2021, while being treated for COVID-19 in a Glasgow, Scotland hospital, Rossi was recognized by someone familiar with his case. This chance encounter led to his arrest and set in motion a complex legal battle that would span nearly 2 years. Upon his arrest, Rossi vehemently denied his true identity. He insisted that he was Arthur Knight, an Irish orphan who had never set foot on U.S. soil. He claimed that authorities had framed him, going so far as to allege that they had taken his fingerprints while he was in a coma. This denial of identity would become a recurring theme throughout his legal proceedings. The extradition process proved to be a lengthy and contentious affair. Rossi fought tooth and nail against his return to the United States, employing various legal maneuvers and continuing to insist on his false identity. However, in August 2023, a UK judge ruled that Rossi could be extradited to the United States. The judge dismissed Rossi's claims of mistaken identity as implausible and fanciful, effectively setting the stage for his return to face charges. On January 5, 2024, Nicholas Rossi was finally extradited to the United States. He was booked into the Davis County Jail in Utah, where he has remained since. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in the legal saga, as Rossi would now have to face the charges he had so desperately tried to avoid. The case took another turn on August 22, 2024, when Rossi appeared in a Utah County courtroom for his preliminary hearing. The judge, in an unusual move, decided to address Rossi by his alias, Arthur Knight, throughout the proceedings. This decision highlighted the ongoing complexity of the case and Rossi's persistent refusal to acknowledge his true identity. During the preliminary hearing, the state presented one witness, Detective Derek Coates. Formerly with the Utah Department of Public Safety, Detective Coates had been assigned to work under the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, federal grant program aimed at investigating the backlog of sexual assault kits that had previously gone untested. His testimony provided crucial insights into how Rossi was eventually identified as a suspect in the 2008 rape case. Detective Coates explained that Rossi wasn't identified as a suspect in the 2008 Utah County rape case until nearly a decade later due to the backlog of DNA testing. The breakthrough came when a DNA sample from the Utah County case matched a sample from a case in Ohio. This match, combined with subsequent investigation, led authorities. The detective also testified about a third alleged victim who came forward after seeing news reports about Rossi in January 2022. This woman, identified only by her initials, claimed that Rossi had sexually assaulted her in December 2008 at the Blair Street address in Salt Lake City. She provided investigators with documents from that time, including an application for wedding rings from a local jewelry store and cell phone records, which helped corroborate her account. Throughout the hearing, Rossi's defense team kept their questioning brief. They focused on clarifying that while there was DNA evidence in the Utah County case, there was no such evidence in the Salt Lake County case. This strategy seemed aimed at potentially challenging the strength of the evidence in future proceedings. When given the opportunity to testify, Rossi followed his attorney's advice and chose not to take the stand. This decision is common in preliminary hearings, where the standard of proof is lower than in a full trial. Despite the brevity of the hearing and the limited questioning from the defense, the judge ruled that there was sufficient evidence for the case to move forward. Applying the standard of probable cause, the judge found that the state had presented enough evidence to support a reasonable belief that Rossi had committed the crimes charged in the information. As a result of this ruling, Nicholas Rossi, who has been in custody since his extradition in January, is set to appear in court again on October 17, 2024, for arraignment and a bail hearing. This next appearance will mark another crucial step in the legal process, potentially determining whether Rossi will remain in custody or have the opportunity to post bail while awaiting trial. The case of Nicholas Rossi has captivated public attention due to its extraordinary nature. It involves allegations of serious crimes, an elaborate scheme to fake his own death, an international manhunt, and a persistent denial of identity that has complicated legal proceedings at every turn. The story touches on issues of sexual assault, the importance of DNA evidence in cold cases, challenges of international extradition, and the lengths to which some individuals will go to evade justice. As the case progresses, it raises important questions about identity, the efficacy of sex offender registries, and the impact of delayed justice on victims of sexual assault. The backlog of untested sexual assault kits, which allowed Rossi to evade detection for years, highlights a systemic issue in the criminal justice system that many jurisdictions are still working to address. The international dimension of the case also underscores the increasing globalization of criminal justice. Rossi's flight to Europe and his eventual capture in Scotland demonstrate both the challenges and the successes of international law enforcement cooperation. As Nicholas Rossi awaits his next court appearance, the eyes of the public remain fixed on this extraordinary case. Will he continue to maintain his false identity? How will the evidence stand up to scrutiny in a full trial? And most importantly, will the alleged victims finally see justice after more than 15 years? The outcome of this case may have far-reaching implications, not only for Rossi and his alleged victims, but also for how similar cases are handled in the future. It serves as a stark reminder of the persistence required in pursuing justice, the importance of advances in forensic technology, and the complex interplay between different jurisdictions in an increasingly interconnected world. As the legal proceedings continue to unfold, one thing is certain. The case of Nicholas Rossi will remain a subject of intense interest and debate, serving as a cautionary tale about the long arm of the law and the enduring pursuit of justice, no matter how long it takes or how far a suspect may flee.